Okay, explain to me who the character is coming out the door. When Dust came out the door, you knew he was the American Dream. When Goldberg came out the door, you knew he was the baddest man on the planet, not Brockers, right? When Bruno walked down the aisle, even if you were from planet Pluto, which isn't a planet anymore, right? But he came down the aisle, you knew he was the world heavyweight champion. The most important thing, I believe, that I could be way off, you got to know who you are and who the character is. What I did, I watched different guys, and I took this from the Sheik, I took this from Abdullah, I took this from Brody, guys that I saw in my head that were going to draw money. As soon as Brody came out the door, or Hanson, you knew they were badasses. Abdullah, you can make an impression one time when you're coming out. And here's the other thing. I learned this from Bruno, and I learned it from Superstar Billy Graham, Dusty Rhodes. You know, you guys are in a difficult position in today's wrestling. And see if you agree with me. You have this tool, the internet, and you try to get out there and get your name, right? But if you give too much of, so I think the most important thing is, when you're starting off, the character that you have now may not be the character 2 years from now or 3 years from now that draws money. But you gotta kind of say, okay, I'm gonna tailor myself, not copy him exactly, but let me look at a guy that's your size, like Brian Case, does that stuff. What can I take from him? What can I leave? What can I look at somebody else and take? So when I hit that door and I'm walking out, they understand who I am. Leg dive the guy, take him over. He goes to sit out on you, you grab him, waist lock him, take him back over, front face lock him, do typical amateur wrestling stuff. And then he does the move and reverses on you. And when you reverse it on him, you slam him or anything where you kick him right in the face. Right away, people know you're pissed off. Why did he do that when he can out wrestle the guy? Does that make sense to you? Okay, so I'll tell you a funny story. I worked for ECW for a while, and Taz and I were tag team partners. And we worked the program where we split. And the first time I wrestled, we were in American Legion Hall that Paul used to run in the yard. And I went to the ring first. I grabbed the mic and I said, I'm wrestling a guy named Taz, who's Bill from Tasmania. I want to ask him where he thinks it is. You know what I mean? So you really need to kind of learn some Arabic. You don't have to be able to speak fluently in it. But think about this. You're trying to get over, and everybody who watches TV is a Judeo-Christian. So if I'm sitting there and I'm from the Middle East and I hear you, immediately I'm drawn to you. We have a connection. That's why sports fans live and die for their town, because there's a connection. And rivalries in sports, you know, the Lakers and the Celtics, the Red Sox and the Yankees, it's because they relate to those people. So knowing where you're from is a very important thing. Like I used to say, I was from Singapore. I spent a lot of time there, in Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Indonesia. So I took that and worked it into my character. So, and I knew enough about it that I dropped names, and you know, I was in Ipoh, Malaysia, in the cave temples, and you know, I met the seafood. And after a while, people would start to say, well, there's something to this. But he was training a guy. He said, do you think amateur wrestling is needed? I said, he doesn't need to have a medal. He doesn't have to compete. But if you look at the amateur wrestlers that made it, watch their footwork. They never crossed their feet up. They're always in position. So it's just a little thing. Like I said, you don't need to try to train to be the Florida champion, but it's a good background to have. So how long have you been wrestling?
Not long really. I mean, I originally first hopped in the ring when I was 16, but I've been to like 20 classes with Kason, you know. I've been in and out.
Less classes than that. She's had one match for Juggalo Championship Wrestling. She's had a little more than 10 classes here. In the last 10 years, she's had another 10 classes elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably at the best school in Florida.
I definitely learned the most being here.
Yes.
I went to like 4 different schools too, so.
Well, he wants people to succeed here where a lot of people just want to take your money. You know, there's something in our psyche about, you know, if you're a hunter and you see a thing where you shoot a moose or a elk or a deer, it's no big thing, but when you see an elephant get shot and drops, it's like, whoa. So if you see a girl that's petite like you are, coming out and doing that, that gets into your subconscious. And the other thing is your subconscious, when it gets deep into your subconscious, your conscious mind doesn't know if it's reality or not. So if you do that, you've kind of grabbed the people who are saying, maybe she's real because it's something different. I saw a thing on TV land where this amateur wrestler came from India and he was shooting with the wrestlers. And the wrestlers were bitching, hey, he's hurting us, this guy's really wrestling. So they boarded him up in a room so he couldn't come up for the championship match. Superman sees his X-ray vision, knocks down the wall, and the guy comes out, beats the champion, the promoter comes out, typical stereotype promoter they do in the movies, short, fat, smoking a cigar saying, I love it, real wrestling. And then I look at the end of the film, 1953. So this isn't like awakening that, you know, there was, Abraham Lincoln was a bad guy, we just found out about it. They knew wrestling was a work from the late 30s, I mean, complete work. So to convince the people, there gotta be a character, and if you come out and you're trying to like scrub your hands off, or you're washing your hands and you got grease, they're gonna say, could it be possible that she's doing this? And I was doing that then. You got social media, you got a platform to put these things out. And changing oil, I like that, that's brilliant. I've been on a reality show, Legend at Dodge, okay? He's a shoot, the rest of us are bullshit, but he's real. He lives in the woods, right? He lived in a cave in the summer and a redwood stump in the winter. And what killed his gimmick, he went from making no money to $300,000 a year. And they used to have someone go and get his groceries. He finally got a cabin built by a stream. It was very like a monk way of living, but they would go get his food, they would go get his dip, they'd get his wine, probably get his weed. You know, they didn't, all of a sudden one day he feels like he wants to be recognized, and then he starts going downtown and he's buying stuff, and he was called the Barefoot Sensei, right? And he's going downtown, and now he's got some money, and he's got expensive cowboy boots on, he's got a nice pair of jeans. He came to him and said, hey, don't do it because we're getting comments on the internet. You guys are living in that world. And in 6 months, they canceled the #1 show because he wouldn't step in line. I'm not saying that that's what you gotta do, but the perception is reality. So as my great Uncle Billy used to say, you can catch a fish, but you can't tune them. You know, anything that's ridiculous, so they start to say. And interviews are now scripted, but I think they're gonna have to unscript them to get the personalities over. And anything that draws money usually has to have an interview that means something that falls in the Rock's, like falls in character like the Rock. You know, can you smell what the Rock's cooking? I always say to people, you can have the greatest technical wrestlers. First of all, let me preface this. You guys are the best of ever, the best athletes. People from my generation say, you know, they do too much flip-flops. you guys grew up on video games. There's a place for all that, but you need to find out what the character would do to do that, you know what I'm saying? And the interviews have to be entertaining, and I think that's what's hurting WWE too, is the interviews are so sterile. You know when they start the show sometimes and there's a babyface or a heel in the ring and they're talking to one another? If a guy talked to you like that at the bar, either two things are gonna happen. You're either gonna say, fuck you, I'm leaving, or beat the shit out of them. How do you spend 5 minutes knocking each other and they're pro athletes who are supposed to get paid to fight? What I'm saying is, I think there's gonna be a drastic change. And you're here at the school with a guy that knows what to do. He's been around, he's been with these companies, he sees what's going on. Learn an interview, and if you're that good, they're gonna be forced to. Even if they script it for you, you're gonna you will have input on it anyway. And nobody does this anymore. Do you ever want a babyface start make you come back, drop to your knees and say, whoa? Do you? Do you ever do that?
Last night.
Great, because everybody seems to be this badass. We don't have any heels that say, whoa, let's not fight, you know, give me a chance. When you do that, big goal, and then you get the babyface down, and they say, oh, you know, he had in his mind, he wasn't really counting against more people. All this stuff we're talking about, if you start this character at 8, by the time you find the character and you smooth it out, it's gonna be etched. This isn't an overnight thing. It takes a long time to get there, but again, I said, this is the best school in Florida, so if you learn and listen, you've got a great trainer, develop what you think, and every day think, what would my character do tonight if it worked? What would my character do? What did the people buy last? Here's what I tell people sometimes too. Suppose you do a move, and it doesn't get over, give it 2 more chances. You get 3 strikes, you're up. If you don't do that, if that move doesn't get a reaction after the 3rd time, throw it out of your arsenal. Go back to something else. So Rick Martel face, body, look at, and I always think that people should look at people that resemble them, that drew money, and say, what did he do? And of course, you don't want to be the model, but what was his movements in the ring? What was his demeanor? Whatever the hot thing is, don't copy it completely, but invent what you're talking about. Reinvent that move. So they haven't seen it, if you're on the 3rd match, they haven't seen it they haven't seen it in the first 2 matches. So they go, wow, you know what I mean? The unexpected. If you do something that they don't expect, that's what people will separate you from them. If you can copy something that somebody's done and change it, maybe not drastically, but change it so it looks different, same results, it will help you. You know, we've all used a foreign object before, brass knucks, powder, fire. I never heard of wine. You might have a guy who's drinking all. Yeah, yeah, I mean, there's something you could do, and don't do it until you have a match that means something. But make sure that you lull them to sleep with it. You know, you've done it over and over again, and you've never used the flash, the goat bag, and squeezed it until you're going to do something to make it mean something. I'll give you a quick example. Gary Hart was a great manager. They won't touch it. Gary Hart was my manager for a while. Gary would lull the people to sleep. If we were in the ring and Mark and I threw a guy to the floor, Gary would just walk up to him, and people think he was going to get him, and he'd see the guy, and then he would walk back. He would do that. This is when we ran towns every week. He did that for 6, 8 weeks. So now they figure Gary's never going to do anything. When we get in a match with Steamboat Youngblood one time, Steamboat goes to the floor. Gary reaches into his sport coat and he has this thing that looks like a cue ball in his sock. He goes and hits Steamboat. Steamboat got the color. Threw him in. We couldn't even pin him. We had a riot because he lulled them to sleep. They didn't think he was going to do anything. That's why I'm saying about the flask. If you just, oh, it's just stick and then use it, you'll get a reaction. I like that idea. Who have you watched to sell and make a comeback?
Say Pryor and Mysterio and any cruiserweight match he had in WCW, especially versus Eddie Guerrero.
Right.
Does it have to be WWE? It can be anybody.
No, it can be anybody.
Cool. I think Matt Sydal has really good fire when he comes back too.
Okay.
Especially working against bigger guys.
John Cena has been the face of that company, and the reason why he sells merchandise and he does the Make-A-Wish and all that. But I've watched him sell. I went back on YouTube, and he's good for a big guy the way he sells in today's day. But if you really want to see a guy sell, and this, they just came out of the Hall of Fame, and they're still around. Punky Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton, the way he sold, you knew eventually he was going to come back. And it was all facial and how he placed his hands when he was selling. Stuff you can take from that, especially the guys, the ones in the Hall of Fame, like Ricky did. And he, when he sold, he never died. You always thought there was hope that he was going to make a comeback. Thought, you try to convey that you're from the hood.
Yeah, somebody that's from the hood and locked up, just doesn't care.
Okay, do you know who Malcolm X is?
Yeah.
You ever hear him speak?
Yeah.
He's articulate. Even though he's in prison, he's articulate. If you're doing the hood rap, I can go down to the hood in Orlando and hear that. But if you talk like Malcolm did, here's the character with a bodyguard. It's like the Nation of Islam, right? You're got a bodyguard, they're going to think here comes the typical stereotype rap, and then you talk like Malcolm and talk down to them. So I would look at Malcolm, I would look at Cleaver, I would look at guys from the 60s when the movement started. What?
Louis Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan, perfect, that's a great one, yeah. That should draw money. And if you talk down to him, they're gonna get behind him, even if he's a heel. They don't expect that to come from your mouth. The match is made. You got the thing set. You've set the stage. Now you only have to perform. So let's hook up and we'll get you in the ring. Let's the ladies start. Open your eyes. Like I said, you don't want to see you selling, right? I was very impressed because there was a lot of wrestling. Very good. There was a lot of wrestling. Well carried. Very good.
Thank you.
Wrestle, and it made me believe that you girls could wrestle. It was very good, especially for you carrying her and for you being able to follow. It does say the billboard, and it is coming back, okay? And it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, NXT has got guys that are teaching in the school, and Hunter, who is the head of it, right, that's his baby. They're trying to bring it back, so I'm very impressed. Keep your eyes open when you saw it. Nice series of moves. Keep going, keep going. Nice, nice. Good, very good series and stuff. The only thing I could recommend, you know, this is nitpicking shit, okay? But sometimes it works. You're sewing your leg and you gave him a power slam, perfect, because he's charging you and you can do it. After you kicked out, maybe you should have went to try to slam him and your leg gives out. Because you're sewing your leg terrifically and you worked it terrifically. I'm not just blowing smoke. This is the best you'll ever see because you're wrestling. You're learning. You guys did very well. One of the things, and I saw this in the ladies match, you know, you don't, when they have a head scissors on you, you can kick a few times before you get out, you know what I mean? And you did something when you almost nipped up. Can you nip up?
I tried to, but I wasn't aware of how close the ropes were.
Okay, that's something you need to be aware of. This is your house. So you need to know where the bathroom is, the closet, okay?
Sure.
It was good, but like I said, you know, we almost followed the routine. 1, 2, kick out. Hold it, 4, 5, 6, and really kick. Then when you kick out of it, if you nip up, you're gonna get a reaction from the people. Because it was different, and this is no slight. It's gonna be different than what they see everybody else do. Very good for a little time, yeah. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. You see the window to our soul. Ready? Ding! Get your hands up. Get your hands up. You know, protect yourself. Okay.
classes have you been to, Hutch?
Maybe a dozen?
Okay.
Maybe?
Good. You see the difference when you kick the gears they on? Want to see a guy that really changed gear was Paul Orndorff. He went from 4th to 7th gear instantaneously.
Bring that back again.
Nice. Come on, hit him. Good Sullivan.
That's all you got?
He's your boy now, huh?
Ah, shit, come on, he at his mama's house. Come on, then, fire up. Come on, Colonel.
Okay, good. You see how they perform? See how they perform? This is exactly what's missing in wrestling. This is a bigger guy than this guy. And they played it well. Brought me in to observe. So some people don't check their ego at the door. Congratulations, you checked your ego at the door. This guy needs a round of applause. Most people say, I gotta get my shit in. You got your shit in by getting him over. And you got yourself over because you fought back, no matter against all odds. And his facial expression one time when he went to slap you and you ducked, I was like, what the fuck did you do that for? It was great. Yeah, you guys, I'm very, very impressed with the whole group. And I'm not, I mean, I was at a seminar last week and this is like, you guys were on the mountain and they were here and they had much more experience than you guys. And none of them could have carried what you're doing wrestling wise. They're just doing these spots for no reason, no rhyme, and two of them hurt themselves. You know what I mean? So I was very impressed with everybody. Great, great. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen Brock pull anybody by the tights down. He just, like you were working, he just steamrolls guys. And if you're working with him and he's steamrolling you, you know, he's gonna keep steamrolling you. You gotta stop it, you know what I mean? You're in there to stop it. You did a good job. You were fighting back. But he's overwhelming. It was a perfect big man, little man match. It was like, he's the heavyweight champion of the world and you're the light heavyweight champion of the world. There's a reason why he's beating you up, but you're coming back. You got heart. The reason why he's beating you up, he's 50 or 60 pounds heavier. You worked it perfectly. I learned this from Vince Sr. He was a very smart guy. Nobody gives him credit for how smart he was. And we used to do TV in the old Philadelphia arena where the original Rocky was filmed.
Yeah.
And I came into the dressing room and everybody was gone. And his book was out. I looked around and I went. And I opened up his book and I looked, it was like, I think it was February. I looked at February where I was looking for where I was gonna be, right? But then I turned at every page. He had the entire Gardens mapped out for a year. That was like their pay-per-view. Now, it was only the main event, Bruno's, the tag, and the special attraction. And sometimes he had a guy written down that was going to be coming in, that was going to wrestle Bruno. So he had 3 or 4 matches. Something would happen invariably, where a guy would get hurt or something. So when the pay-per-view came along, I took his idea, we steal everything, and I had the whiteboards, and I had Starcade booked, and then I would go backwards. It started out as an hour show, which was, I had the all-star lineup of all time. Okay, that was great because people wanted more. Then we went to 2 hours, and this is how we went to 3 hours. When they were 2 hours, we'd be in the truck, and as our match is going on, they gotta go off the air. We don't. Turner owns us. And I'd be saying to the referee, tell them to get some heat or do a spot or whatever. I tell them do a spot or whatever. So we were at the height of the match. He had to go off the TV so we would win the rating. I gotta give them the benefit of the doubt this. They're doing 5 hours of TV back to back, Monday to Tuesday. How much rice can you eat? 6?
205 Live.
I forgot about that. History repeats itself. When there was national TV in the 50s, it came out of Chicago. It was an hour-and-a-half program. Everybody loved it. Then there was 2 national TVs coming out of Chicago, both NWA members, Leonard Schwartz and Fred Kohler. Then there was Texas Wrestling coming out of Dallas. Then there was Wrestling from Hollywood coming out of LA. Then there was Bedlam in Boston. So that was back in the day, 3 stations. How much wrestling can you take? And I asked Jim Barnett this question, who was a very, very, very bright guy. There would never been a WrestleMania 1 without Jim Barnett. He was the one that put all the TVs together, because back in the day, every programmer, television programmer, when they looked at their Rolex watch, it was a gift from Jim Barnett, okay? And he set up the syndication for Vince and everything. And I asked him why he left to go to Australia, because he was successful. He didn't own territories back then, he owned towns. He owned part of LA, he owned Salt Lake City, he owned Denver, he owned Indianapolis, he owned Lexington, Louisville, Detroit, part of Boston. He actually owned part of the New York office, owned part of Florida before Eddie got there. He owned part of Atlanta, and he owned New Orleans. And I asked him, I said, why did you leave? He said, because that run was from 52 to 61, okay, national TV. He said, we didn't make any new stars. And if you look at the attendance records, after when Bruno got the belt, the only thing that was drawing in New York, and it wasn't selling out, was the Gardens. Everything else had been dead. I'll give you an example because you're going to get in that end of it. How many times have you seen, not lately, but how many times have you seen Cena and Orton wrestle on TV?
It's a disgusting
It was the same thing that happened to them. It was Kowalski against Yukon Eric, who knocked his ear off. It was Rogers against this guy, Billy Darnell, that was his brother-in-law. It was Rocker and Perez against the Graham brothers. It was, Mark Lewin and Don Curtis against the Kangaroos. The same matches, and they didn't make anybody. That's why I was saying, you guys are at a point that are here. Big Papi was my favorite baseball player of all times. But he's retired. There got to be another star to take his place. And that's what they're running out of, being able to go back. Rock will never wrestle again because he's a movie star and the insurance will cost him forever. I don't think they can go back and get Goldberg again. Flair's gone. Michaels isn't gonna wrestle. National Hall aren't gonna wrestle. So they haven't made any stars that I can think of in 12 years. I mean, Cena's the last big name. I mean, you know, the thing about Roman, we can talk about that forever, you know what I mean? Why he's wearing a chest protector and all this up when he looks like $1 million beyond me. Rock didn't do that, right? He had tights and boots. You know when a guy jumps on the, because they want that hard shot, and they got an earring in his ear, or he's got his hand around his neck? What do you think Bruce Birdie would have done to that guy? You know what I mean? You're gonna go ahead and have a fight, and you turn your back, and you got your jewelry on, you know what I mean? They've lost, and Em and I talk on the show all the time. They got the answer, they got the libraries when they were drawing the biggest money.
How's it going? Yeah! We got some great matches tonight, but we've also got a very special legend in the house, the most evil wrestler in the history of Florida wrestling. He's wrestled all over the world, and he is my co-host every week on the MSL and Sullivan podcast. Give it up for the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan! Kevin, it's great to have you here, man. You put Florida wrestling on the map, and now you live on a remote island off the coast of Washington State. How does it feel to be back in Florida?
Well, thank you very much, but we all know that this is Dusty Rhodes put Florida on the map.
If you will.
If you will, brother. I was just a little clog in the wheel, but tonight, this is the greatest wrestling school I have ever been to. So let's give it up for I Believe in Wrestling. So I watched today some of the greatest young athletes, and I saw guys that impressed me.
Yes.
So with the first two matches, I've decided, with the graces of M, the guys that win the first two matches will come back, M, in a tag match against Chasen and the legendary Jesse Neal. Woo! So people, give it up for I Believe in Wrestling, because someday you guys that are here tonight are going to say, I was there when these guys started. These are the future of the wrestling business. So let's give it up for those guys. And good luck, guys.
Florida, why you down here? Ready? I'm ready. Ready? Ring the bell! Yeah! Say, Jason! What you say? Oh, what you say? Get him! Pick him up! 1, 2, get him!
You ain't trying to no more, man.
Oh, I'm not trying to do it right now? Okay.
What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
I'm talking to you.
Yeah! Ah! Yeah! Oh! Woo! Ah! Break it! Say, Jason! Break it! Say! You want to quit? No! Hey, Dad! Oh! Ah! Ah! Good job, dude. Ah! Say, Carlos! What do you say? No! Say! Carlos! Say, Carlos! Go, Carlos! You got this. You're back. Yeah! Come on, bro! Yeah! Bam! There you go!
At a time of 8 minutes and 47 seconds, your winner, critical, Carlos Caballero!
Hey, what? Reset, man! No! Reset! Well, as you can clearly see, Mr. Gabriel here, Carlos Gabriel, has made a deal with the devil. And let me tell you why. I have been on a nationwide talent search for the last several months, and I have heard that the I Believe in Wrestling promotion had some of the greatest talent in the world. I came here tonight looking to procure some gold. And the fact is, last month, Chico Adams was defending the Florida Tag Team Championship against Jason Rance and Jarrell Clark. However, his partner, unfortunately, could not make it. And he took a substitute partner with him, going on what the great Kevin Sullivan had chosen as the two best wrestlers. In his opinion this afternoon, I saw fit to sweeten the pot a little bit for this man. I dare you, Jason Rance, to put the Florida Tag Team titles on the line against Carlos Gabriel and Chico Adams. If you are a man at all, you will. No, don't do it.
He probably won't. He won't. Good.
So I anxiously await your reply, and yes, you may all rot in hell. Let's go, boys. Like your mama, right?
No Adams, the kids blowing up, y'all can't fathom, we both weapon.
Hey, come on!
Moments ago, we heard the shocking challenge from the Sinister Minister. It's going to be Carlos Gabriel and Chico Adams in your main event. They want the Florida Tag Team Championship on the line. So let's bring out Jason Rance and Jesse Neal and get their response. Jason Rance, of course, one half of the Florida Tag Team Champions. We saw this shocking challenge from the Sinister Minister. He's put this team together. Sinister Minister wants the titles on the line tonight. Jesse Neal, not your usual partner. What is your response?
I know Chico did it last time we were here, and if Sinister Minister wants it, and you still don't want to tag with me,
I'm retired.
and Jarrell's not here, who better than would want to have my back than Jesse Neal?
Every single time I come here, guys, first of all, I want to apologize for not showing up last show. I do want to apologize. Real stuff happened in my life, you know what I mean? So yeah. But what better way to come back to this show to represent one half of the tag team titles? You guys cool with that?
Yes!
You guys want to see that?
Yes!
I think there's your answer.
So it's official, guys. Jason Rance and Jesse Neal defending the Florida Tag Team Championship in the main event against Carlos Gabriel and Chico Adams with their new manager, the Sinister Minister.
Yes! Trina, what do you say?
No.
What do you say, Amber? What do you say? No. 1, 2, 2. What do you say, Trina?
No.
No. What do you say?
No.
Hey, come on. Get out of the Mike, get down. Mike, get off. Ready? 1.
Now.
Hey, come on, Ferris, come out of the corner. Let's go. 1, 2. What the hell was that? Don't take that, Dion. My deputy is not part of that. Ferris, come on, get out of the corner. 1, 2, 3. Don't take that, Dion. Don't take that.
They're gonna kill you guys. Shut up, punk!
Alright, guys, come on. Main event, baby! Main event! Illegal here, guys. Oh, an elbow's high up there. That's a good one. Here we go. There we go. You want to say right now on the way? No. The locker room, your chair is empty though. Yes. Go over there. Yeah. There you go. Come on, Chico. There you go. Reset, Chico. Reset. Reset, Chico. Look at that technical. Reset, Jason. There Chico. Your technique, she goes. Got his hair! There you go. Come on, guys. There you go, Go for it, Yes. There you go. Tap out, Chico. We say, Chico. We say. Keep going. There you go. Don't be afraid. Come on, I want to win this thing, bro. spot him. Come on, Carlos. Tag. One out. Carlos, get out. Get him. Kick out. Kick out. Get up, Jess. Leave me in my neck. One, two. Chico!